Okay, so do you ever see those videos where the person who's making the video is clearly way more passionate about one super specific subject than you are? This is that video for me. I'm super sick right now. I've got the COVID, so I can't hear, taste, or smell all at the same time right now. It's great. So I can't really do my normal job, which is reviewing headphones, but I can talk about headphone storage. So I've gone through a number of iterations and I've kind of deemed that this is the best for me. And I'm gonna explain why this is the best for me, all the other potential options that are much cheaper and maybe better for you. But yeah, this is kind of why I use this specific system. So let's go ahead and go over what exactly it is. It's a Husky tool bench that I removed the ugly badges from. And it gives this really nice, clean little aesthetic, which is one of the downsides. Let's go over pros and cons here. Pros, it's super tough. Tons of storage, but it's all like protected. Like you're not gonna knock anything over. Something that falls on this is not gonna destroy the expensive equipment that's inside. Like something would have to catastrophically be extremely wrong for this to actually fail in a way that would damage the headphones. It's not gonna tip over, unlike some of the other options that we're gonna talk about also. And it provides a nice little workbench, which for me is a plus. I don't use this for actual like garage work, but I do use this for, just random table type things. These tops are not what I would consider like actual workman quality, but they look nice. And if you just want to place some lightweight things on them, they're not going to scuff up or scratch. And that fits my particular use case for this perfectly. The other thing that's nice about this for me is it's got wheels, and I move my stuff around in here a lot. So it kind of just works out to me to have it be on wheels, unlike the cabinets, which we'll talk about in a second. So this just kind of works out for me. Cons of this system, it's really expensive for just a storage unit. Some of the other stuff we're gonna talk about is much cheaper. Some of it's under $100, some of it's under $200. This, I think per is about $400 a piece. Don't quote me on that. Other cons are it's big and potentially ugly. Now I like the looks of this thing, but it really kind of narrows your kind of aesthetic down to this if you're gonna have this in a room or in your space. So if you don't match this aesthetic, you don't match this aesthetic. So it's not gonna work, but this actually works out perfectly for my aesthetic, which is gray and white and clean colors and stuff. So it looks cool. Another con is that per square foot, this is not the most amount of storage that you can get. The cabinet, which we'll talk about in a second, is probably the most amount of storage per square foot that you can get. But this does offer something that I like a lot, which is diversity in size of the storage units and able to separate every level of that storage and not have things stacked on top of each other. It's a big plus for me. Now these are your other options. These are headphone stands. The problem I have with headphone stands, while they're great, they're really cheap, they offer a really good kind of headphone standing for like a single headphone or a pair of headphones even. But if you get too many headphones in here, it just looks cluttered. You have to have a space for them. They're always out, they collect dust. That's one of the benefits of having a closed system or cabinet. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's fine. It's fine for display, but then you have to find a neat place to put the cable. And you have to kind of decide, do you want like a cheap stand? Like I think this one is like 15 bucks. I think that this stand, which is made of wood and metal and leather by Grove Made, is close to like 100 bucks. There are ones that are cheaper and ones that are far more expensive. You have desk attached ones, but ultimately they just don't have a clean, simple, minimal look that gets things kind of away and out of sight, which is what I prefer to have, is things that are just put away in a place. That's what I like. So if you're looking to do this cheap, I'll drop a couple links down below because you can totally headphone stand 1 or 2 headphones with these, or as many as you want really if you like the system. I just don't love the system. I also have some pretty expensive headphones, and these things tipping over is just not the move for me. Now, the great thing about cabinets is that per square foot that they actually take up, they offer a ton of storage, like a ridiculous amount of storage. It's real nice. The downside with cabinets, stuff just tends to stack up on top of other stuff. And so you just end up with a stack of stuff. And I don't like the stack thing. I like everything to have kind of its own place, like I said. So, though I will say that cabinets are actually pretty great for a couple of things. One, it's, again, protected. It's not out in the open. Things aren't gonna fall over. It's not likely to fall over. These things get pretty heavy. And this thing was only $200 for a pretty sizable amount of storage. I think this thing is 6 feet. And it's, you know, nice. I don't know, it's fine. It's just not kind of what I've been looking for, but you may be. And I think for those people, it's gonna work perfectly. It's also a great way to get things like out of sight. And this one comes with a key, so you can actually lock this thing. So, you know, if you need to lock it, you can. It's honestly a great way to get like a lot of storage if you need a lot of storage, but I'm looking for like good storage that's like easy to access. Everything has its own place. You'll hear me say that once or twice more, probably. Okay. Now I've tried on-wall solutions as well. This one was kind of this sort of DIY thing that I made from these kind of Rubbermaid shelving racks. They click in like this, and this portion gets actually like mounted to the wall. But ultimately, you don't get enough storage for my particular cases. You can't do really anything with the amps. There's also small little like headphone hanger clips that you can bolt into the wall as well, but I kind of run into the same issue. Like, it's not put away, it's kind of out in the open. It still have to do something with the cables, otherwise it looks messy. So this solution, while it's fairly cost effective and will work for someone, again, doesn't work for me and kind of what I'm looking for. One cheap hanger that I actually do like quite a bit, if I only had one headphone, I would probably be using this one. This is like a little desk clip one that kind of unscrews and clamps onto your desktop. It's got enough room for the cable to wrap around also. If I just had one, it'd probably be this, but I got more than one. So that brings me into this and what I have in it, and why it kind of works out for me. One of the first things I did was I flipped over the kind of default kind of matte that's in here, because I like the smooth finish and it doesn't say Husky, which I appreciate. But yeah, I just kind of had this random assortment of stuff that just lays perfectly flat. It all kind of has its own place. Nothing is really interacting with anything else, causing any potential damage or anything like that. Everything just looks neat. It's organized. It doesn't need to be labeled or anything like that because there's not that many of them. But you can make this like as slammed or as sparse as you want, but I just like that everything is kind of like in its own dedicated section. Now on the lower levels, I have a diversity of things. I have cleaning supplies here. I have pads and everything here. I have different cables and kind of different cable systems over here. This is the split cable system that has the disconnecting Y split from the main line. Love that a lot. And then on this other side, I have amplifiers and odds and ends. And I like that most of the low profile amps will fit. I'll show you what I do with the bigger amps. But I don't know, this is just extremely satisfying when I need to listen to the Matrix, or I need to listen to this, or the topping, or any other amp that I'm currently testing. I store it and I come out and swap these as needed. I also have cable and IM, like cable adapters and stuff, IMs, all this type of stuff kind of organized, neatly tucked away. Now for the bigger amps, I actually put these in these drawers. So I'll have like the Woo Audio there, the tubes for this new amp that we'll talk about in a future review. A bigger box then can fit in this top chest over here. And then things like, you know, these little speakers. And then on this other side, everything that has a place in this chest usually has a box that's in here. So I really like this system. I like how neat it is. I like how organized it is. I like how simple it is. In fact, I like this system so much that I also did my entire kind of, I guess, camera cabinet thing, roller tool chest thing also. So like I'll have all of my camera equipment and everything I would use for camera use in here as well, organized in exactly the same fashion. So is this system complete overkill? Yeah, definitely. It's barely even recommended, I would say. But you know, if you're a compulsive organizer like I am, then yeah, this is like the best solution for me. I like having an area to work on stuff. One small downside I will note that I didn't think to mention is that depending on the actual size of the headphones, some headphones that have like a really tall kind of side profile, like from here to here, when you're laying them down, they won't actually fit. So this one, like by like a millimeter or two, doesn't actually fit. It's actually a little bit kind of too tall to fit in here. Like it barely hits, which sucks. It just hits on this little nut. But this isn't a problem for most headphones. Like Arias and stuff can fit in here. It's just these ultra wide headphones. Some LCDs might have some issues maybe. I don't even think they're as wide as this is though. Luckily, that's not a very good headphone, so I don't really need to keep it or store it. So there's that. So I think that's about it. I don't really have a whole lot more to say. This is not a big brain idea. It's just kind of the system I'm using. I have these usually in the background of videos, and you might be curious as to why. It says there's actually shit in it that is like nice and neat and really satisfying to use. So it's the best solution I found, but I'll drop links to like every option that I talked about below if you are curious and want to kind of store your own stuff. So while this is not the most cost-effective option, I do think it is the best option given my circumstances and my needs, but yeah, not for everybody. It's just kind of what I'm using. I think it provides a super clean look, and I like that everything is organized and has its exact place. I love that. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.